Well, good afternoon, everyone. Excited to be here and to talk to our One Global partners around the globe. One of the themes we've been hearing and talking about is how similar we are, how many things we work together to bring to you, our customers. But there's also a lot of differences. So we thought it might be fun to talk about what makes us all a little different as well. So we know things vary as far as culture and the way you book travel and things like that. So I thought it would be interesting if we share a little bit of that and things to think about when you're looking at your global travel program. So let's start a little bit about, let's start with Andrea, since she's right here. Let's talk about how are bookings generally made in Germany?
Well, bookings are made in the GDS Amadeus, so this is our main basis where all the bookings are placed. But I'm very happy to tell that we have invested in an own booking tool for our agents. It's called Ares, and with this tool we combine the GDS content and have as well features such as a direct connection to Eurowings, and the NDC content from Lufthansa, Air France, KLM NDC content. So this is important for our agents and as well very important for our clients to have as much content in one system.
That's great. Nacho, what about you?
Well, in Spain, in Portugal, we use also Amadeus as a main GDS, but we have a local online booking tool that is called TTS. And we use that to serve all the clients that need to book online. So, and we use also the Travelport GDS with this local tool.
Very good. Let's expand on that a little bit. Jairam, I'm going to ask you this one. Is there another avenue for booking instead of the GDS in your area?
Yes, and I think all the GDSs in our region are almost equally distributed, around 35% market share for all of them, with Travelport being around 25, but I think Sabre and Amadeus around the same. Other than that, we also have Navitaire. I don't know, most of you may be aware of a lot of low-cost carriers now, Navitaire, which again is owned by Amadeus. So that again is very popular amongst the low-cost carriers that actually operate into the region, especially from the Indian subcontinent. So that again is very, very popular. So a lot of businesses moving out of the GDS as we speak.
Continue, since you brought up the low-cost carrier, Graham, I'll ask you this. I know that they seem to be growing in your area. So how are you guys tackling that for your customers?
Yeah, a lot of low-cost carriers are on their own agent web login. They also give APIs to a lot of people, including the OTAs and TMCs such as ours. But the challenge we still have is to duty care and reporting, and all that is actually done manually, which again takes away a lot of our time. So we have a different pricing model when it comes to servicing customers on the low-cost carriers. So that's the way we differentiate as compared to what we do on the GDS.
Graham, same question for you. How do you approach low-cost carriers?
Similar. I would expect it's probably similar across EMEIA. There is a huge number of LCCs, low-cost carriers across EMEIA. So a lot of these are done through aggregators or direct connects. Similar to what Andrea and Nacho said, we operate about 80% on the legacy GDS, and then the rest of them are done like low-cost carriers, are done through direct connects, aggregators and things like that. So my expectation of it is that over the next few years, we will probably see less bookings going through the GDS and probably more going through, direct connects and aggregators. Things do change quite quickly. There's a lot of technology that's been brought out and a lot of things that are there to complement, existing systems and existing setups. So it will be interesting to see what happens over the next sort of 12 months, 18 months, especially with NDC now coming out, which I'm sure we will talk about.
Yes, we will. We sure will. Speaking about low-cost carriers, I'll ask Andrea this. Are you seeing in your area corporations saying we don't want low-cost carriers for our travelers? Or are you seeing them being more cost-conscious and they still want low-cost carriers content?
Well, low-cost content is very important, I think so. We need the possibility to book it, so the most times they are not in the GDS, so we need to reach out to their website, so we don't have the full content. But I think it's important to offer all the possibilities for our clients. So.
Great. And since you brought up NDC, let's talk about NDC for your areas and what you're seeing from the airlines, standpoint, pushing NDC, and also from a booking standpoint. And we'll let everybody talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, NDC is a challenge because every airline has its own standard. So there's no overall standard as we have it with the regular IATA GDS tickets. So I think in the next months or years, we will get more NDC content, and that's why it is so important to have a tool with more content in.
Thanks, Andrew.
And other things we have with NDC content is that every content you have to manage manually. So you have to do it, like if you want to change any booking, you have to call the airline, because the NDC still do not allow you to make any change. So sometimes with this, it delays you the work, and it came some more difficult, but we have to manage with it.
Jaron, what about you?
Yeah, actually, I would like to add that when I mentioned about low-cost carriers, maybe about 10 to 1 year ago, there are airlines who have actually low-cost carriers coming onto the GDS like Travelport, and so you can use your agency credentials and then issue tickets to the BSP through the GDS. But then your segments are not counted by the GDS companies, but it's good because it captures from my back office, and so we also do that, but not everybody is on that model, but that's coming in, so that's a good sign. So if everybody comes into that model, then we don't have to really jump into screens, and that's still possible.
Graham, is NDC affecting your market a lot as well?
Yeah, 100%. There's just to kind of repeat what Andrea and Nacho said, there's complexities around automation, duty of care, having to build passive segments or get the bookings into the back office and the mid office. It certainly can be problematic. We've been dealing with NDC in Europe or EMEIA for a number of years. NDC isn't going anywhere. I think, as Andrea said, there's no industry standard for it. What KLM may want to have, Lufthansa will want something completely different. So I suspect there will be, in my opinion, TMCs will be moving away from doing direct connects with that and going through third parties, maybe like Travelport Plus and things like that. The cost of having these direct connects with every single airline, programming it and having it in the back office is very restrictive. So yeah, it's definitely still an issue, and we've had NDC for a number of years.
Great, thank you guys. And the common thread that I heard here is that everyone up here is committed to servicing the customer and bringing them the content they want and the content they need, no matter where you live. So I love to hear that. So let's go on to talk about online booking. In the US, there's a big push to get people to book online and to use online booking tools. Number one, it puts them in control. Number two, the company, of course, can build in all of their requirements and booking needs. And also, it can be cost savings. So let's start with Nacho. Would you talk a little bit about online booking in your area and what tools are best and why?
Okay, in our area, we use an online booking tool called TTS. As I said before, that is linked to Travelport, and it allows you to make air tickets and also hotels and trains and rental cars, and you can manage all that bookings. Then also you can have the workflows to allow you to authorize all the bookings, and you can parameterize as the client needs, and if they need any something special, is very parameterizable.
Typically, what percentage in Spain is booked online?
Here in Spain and Portugal, we have like some clients with has an adoption of 80% of adoption, but most of them starts with 50%, and if any boss or any stakeholders don't force them to use it, then it goes decreasing, like 50 and 40, and finally some of them stop to use it because some of them find it kind of difficult, sometimes because of the age of the people. That can be an issue for that, but most of the people are used to do it.
I think he just said I'm old and I would not use his online booking tool. I think that's what he said. Graham, talk to us a little bit about online booking in your area too, and is it on the rise?
Yeah, so COVID, obviously, the dreaded C word, really seen pressure put on travel management companies to service bookings offline. A lot of clients, certainly across the UK and EMEIA, turned off the online booking tools during COVID. We are seeing them coming back. The EMEIA market is a mature market. People are used to using online booking tools. So we certainly have seen online bookings coming back. Within the UK, within Clarity, we're probably sitting at between 70 and 80% across our whole estate for our bookings. Yeah, that's what we're looking at the moment for online, so it's definitely back.
Great, thank you. Is there any reasons why someone wouldn't use an online booking tool? Any cultural reasons or things that people don't feel comfortable using an online booking tool? And that's questions really for anybody.
Within EMEIA, you know, there's other markets across the globe, like, you know, kind of Japan or South Korea, where for cultural reasons, doing business in person and even travel bookings is the norm. Within EMEIA, you know, people are fairly confident in using online booking tools. It is still a system. It does have its limitations. So the general rule of thumb is if you're doing complex trips or if you're doing more than a kind of point-to-point or 4 sectors, you should really be using the expertise of the One Global community partners operational teams. You know, having worked in travel for, crikey, almost 22 years, you hear of some horror stories of people. I'm not going to name any booking tools or any systems, but I'm trying to do, you know, 15 flights and it's giving me $50,000 for the trip. It's like, well, why are you trying to do that in an online booking tool? That's not what the system's there for. So for most of our clients, we find that the sort of message to them is for your point-to-point hotels, anything that you can get the content through the booking tool, you book through the booking tool. Anything more complex, use the professionalism and the expertise of the operational teams offline.
Very good. Here in the US, you know, Concur has a lot of the market on the online booking tools and the expense side. So do online booking tools in your area, do they integrate with Concur Expense? Should they, you know, need it to talk to it, Andrea? Does that happen?
Well, if you have Concur Expense as a global solution, and if you would like to do it in the global way, then I think it is difficult to add a local booking tool to Expense. So in that case, my recommendation would be then to take as well Concur Travel for the booking tool. But if you're on the way to say, let's have a look at each market, what is best, which tool is best in market, if you dive deep inside of the topic from content, what is needed in the market, then it could be as well very interesting to consider online tools for each market. And but it's up to the solution. So if you want to have a global solution, then take both Expense and Concur Travel. This is my recommendation.
Great, thank you. Nacho, what about you? Do you see that the tools in your area, do they integrate with Concur Expense, or is it best to look at Concur as a global solution if that's what they're looking for? Because what I'm hearing is lots of times you've got better content and better options where you are. So I think that's a great opportunity for someone to have access to all the booking information they can, but so many folks here have Concur Expense.
I agree with Andrea that if you need a good expense solution, you should use the same company. Like if you need to use Concur, I will recommend to use the Concur expense, and we can we can do that. But we have also our own solutions that are local and they are very adapted to our local market, even in Spain and even in Portugal.
Very good, thank you. Let's move on and talk a little bit about payment. Everybody likes to get paid. So Jayram, I'm going to ask you, in your market, how do the airlines, or how do you prefer that people pay for their airline tickets?
I mean, coming back to the previous question, which actually will also lead to payments, is the corporate booking tool is not very many. A handful of customers actually use corporate booking tool, but even if they take, the adoption is very poor. They still end up calling our office, and so it might as well you don't, because it's just extra work for us, and they don't end up using the tool. So that's on that subject. But coming back to payments, we still have a lot of customers of ours who prefer to pay offline. It's not an online payment. Credit cards, a very handful of customers who would pay us online prior to travel. Otherwise, it's mostly done invoicing and then post-travel. So I think that's the model. It is prevailing, and 30 days credit is very normal. Most of them do pay, but you still have the not so good ones when we are very choosy who we deal with. I think that keeps us alive and stay afloat. Yeah.
Graham, what about you? What about form of payment and paying for travel there?
Yeah, so generally in the UK market, and a lot of the EMEIA markets as well, it's invoicing that's mainly used. But the problem with that is it leaves the TMC with cash flow constraints, because they're essentially acting as a bank when the BSP is taken out, weekly or bi-weekly, depending on which EMEIA market you're in. The TMC themselves have to cover millions of pounds worth of payments. So we are starting to see a shift in our TMCs pushing clients onto card programs. I know with Andrea, we were chatting earlier, and she was talking about virtual cards like Air Plus cards, the payment cards that you can lodge. And if clients aren't willing to do that, then generally the EMEIA market is looking to reduce the payment terms. So Jairam said that roughly it used to be 30 days. Now we're seeing markets pushing that down to 14 days or even 7 days. The cost of borrowing has also increased. Interest rates are going up, and that impacts the TMC greatly as well. Most TMCs work off very, very small margins and very, very small fees compared to the ticket price or the total cost of trip. So to have to deal with another 3 or 4% interest rate rise and cost of borrowing rise is a lot to take. Some clients are happy to enter into that discussion, and others not so much. But I think it's something that will happen more and more because margins are being squeezed.
Absolutely, that's interesting, because the U.S., we're very credit card based. Everything is on credit card. Andrea, I'll ask you real quick. Is anything changing in Germany as far as how you guys pay for tickets or pay for travel?
In Germany, it's very common to pay with lodge cards, such as Air Plus or with corporate cards. So it's not so common to pay by invoice. So we can do it. We can make the invoice, but there's an extra charge. So if you pay with a lodge card, our clients have a lot of advantages. They get one single billing statement, which is enriched with several data, cost center, etc., project codes. So they do really save time and costs within the accounting. So this is one of the reasons why they love the lodge card. So this is the preferred payment we have in Germany.
That's great. Nacho, what about in Spain and Portugal? How do people pay for travel there?
In Spain and Portugal, people prefer to use their cards to pay the airline bookings because of the travel insurance. And the other services, they prefer to pay by invoicing because of the merchant fees, and because we need to put these fees then to the client. And we also have in Spain we invoice like 30 days, and we have a credit committee that evaluates every week all the invoices pending. And if there is any invoice that is pending, we stop servicing, and then after the situation is regulated, then we continue doing the job.
Very interesting. Now, what about hotels when people are traveling? Do they pay with credit card?
In Spain and Portugal, we do the payment and then we bill back to the client.
Okay, so you prepay the room and tax.
Yes.
And bill the company. What about you, Jayram? Do you prepay the room and tax for travelers as well?
Yeah, we do the billing entirely with all the services that has been taken, irrespective of whether it's an air ticket or a hotel or a
So
car
all the whole travel?
all
Wow.
that. And then I must also tell you, from 1st of Jan next year, it's going to become weekly payment for us. So we are in the process of writing to all our customers that if it's 30 days now, we're going to make it 15 days, and because the payment cycle has changed. So I think that will also make a difference. I'm sure customers will have to agree, and they know what we're going through, and so that should be all right. But that's a process we're going through, yeah.
One of the things that we have and that a lot of travel agencies now are offering are virtual card programs. Do you guys have anything like that, Graham, that you offer clients who don't want to be billed?
Yeah, we do. We do offer virtual card programs. Within the UK market, it's predominantly GDS, hotel bookings, payment on departure, or prepaid. So if it's prepaid, the client can lodge a card in the background. Generally, if it's payment on departure, that would involve the traveller paying on an individual corporate card. We do have a couple of clients with a fairly unique setup where we pass on the payment details to a centralised client card to the hotel. The hotel then charge the card and invoice respectively, but that's very complicated in terms of the way that we do it, and obviously any kind of bill back or sort of payment method like that is prone to issues. We see it with bill back itself, where the client shows up in the hotel and maybe aren't sure of how to process it, or the person on the desk is new.
Right.
The bill back falls down, the person is asked for a personal card, or, which is obviously the preference, is they phone through to the agency, but that then puts costs onto the agency because they're having to pick up the slack for the hotels and the suppliers not really doing their...
It's labor intensive, and then
100%.
also the customer service to the customer. Like you said, they show up and they're not prepaid and it's not taken care of.
Correct. There's certainly key markets where bill back is problematic, and it's a lot of TMCs, certainly within the UK, are now choosing to switch off those markets and just simply don't offer bill back. So it's more prepaid rates that they're offering. And to be honest with you, prepaid, it's less hassle for the traveller as well, and less onus on the traveller to kind of, it's just better for the traveller to do
less
prepaid.
Financial responsibility on the traveler. Jayram, do you see the UAE going to virtual cards or things like that to help the travelers?
Actually, more and more TMCs in the UAE have actually looked at using cards as an additional revenue stream, because AirPlus is, of course, one. Other than AirPlus, we also use Apiso, which is a payment scheme from Amadeus. So that, again, is very, very good. It gives you a good incentive on using those cards. It's not only for air tickets. You can also use them offline for any of your payments to any of your vendors, and, again, increase your bottom line, which is good. So these are new things that are coming into play. This is almost in existence about a year and a half from now. So I think we've been doing this for about 18 months, and it's a good bottom line, yeah.
Great. Good to hear. Okay, I want to make sure we leave time for some questions. So I want to ask the panel each a question, and then we'll open it up for some questions, because I'm sure everybody sees this is very interesting, how things differ from country to country. So I'll start with you, Andrea. If a customer comes to you and they want to implement a global program, what one piece of advice would you share with them?
Well, I think it's very important to know what aim should be achieved with the new program. So it is important, every customer is different, so we really look how we could help with the implementation process So it's also very important to put all the stakeholders in one team so that you really achieve at the end your goals. So we are specialists in travel management, so we could help in any way. So it's important to talk about all the details and then start off the implementation, but every customer is different, so just get in touch with us and we go through the change management process together.
I love that. What a novel idea to get all the stakeholders together so everyone can hear it and agree. Love that. So thank you. Nacho?
Well, in Spain and Portugal, it's almost the same. We don't have any piece of advice for each client because every client is so different. Every client has different needs, and our more than our piece of advice is that we only have to listen, then listen, and after listen to their needs, and just give the solution to their achievements, their goals that they need to get.
Great, thank you. Jairam, what advice would you give to someone looking to do a global program?
Yes, anybody looking for global, it's not very many that we have and from region who wants a global servicing to be done. But if at all there are a few, yeah, what we would recommend is we've got this coverage globally with different partners. So that's an USP that we have, and with the experts in the local region. That's one thing. When we take on a new client, irrespective whether a global requirement or not, what we do is we evaluate their requirements and accordingly give solutions, which is more tailor-made. And we're usually very quick in our response time. We have a very effective team in place. I think that keeps us different from the rest. And Sharaf, as you mentioned, part of One Global is because of the name trust. And Sharaf name is very, very trusted in our region. We are not only in travel, we are into other businesses as well. So people know us as a name and a trusted name. That also helps us and gives us an opening into most corporate houses. So that again is an advantage for us. So yeah, so far so good.
Great, and Graham?
For me, putting on my One Global hat, if you're rolling out or thinking of rolling out a global program, be that for first-time consolidation or market expansion, you need to be consulting with each market to find out what their kind of key drivers are, focusing on their travel spend and really drilling down into what's crucial for that market. For me, if you're a traveller or booker, you want ease of booking, you want content, you want things to be as easy as it can be. A lot of the time, that doesn't happen, and tools or systems are put in front of new markets or new regions that maybe simply don't fit the brief. And I think a lot of that is because they miss the consultation stage and they don't really drill down into what's important within that market. I think it's also important to, what was the driver for change? What are the win themes for rolling out this global program? What are you wanting to achieve with it? I think all of that's key to rolling out a successful program. And if you don't do that, then you're risking really things failing or adoption rates being low and people booking through different channels.
Great, I agree. I wrote down some great keywords because you all had a very common theme, that you got to look at each customer differently. You got to look at those pain points and that need. You have to offer solutions. What are they looking for? You've got to be able to bring them the solutions, and then you've got to consult with them based on their market. You may have a separate solution all tied together for each market, but at the end of the day, you can tie those together into one global program, which is exciting, and then getting all stakeholders involved, making sure that the company's committed to the global program and what you're putting together and what you're providing. So I love to hear that. I think those are great words of advice. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up if anyone has some questions for our panel, and if there's a market or an area that you're interested in or you've got some questions for, we'd love to hear from you. I know I've got some peeps out there somewhere. I've got one over here.
I'm going to come give you a hand if you need it too, Keller.
Thank you.
Great job.
I have a question about the NDC new protocols. with those continuously gonna, continue getting stricter, but still encouraging all of your colleagues and staff members to book online. But with their restrictions, it's hard to book online. They're having to call into agents, and because they want to book, they're requiring booking directly through the airlines. What are the workarounds for that?
The challenges with making changes to NDC bookings, since you can't do it online, and since you have to go to the airline direct, she's wondering what are you hearing as solutions for making NDC better? I don't know if that's a question for this, Lisa, or for later.
Yeah, I think I can answer it from a high level and certainly add in from your areas. But as we all know, this was kind of dropped on us by American a while ago. Technologies are catching up. I know at World Travel, we are in the forefront of testing some of those technologies. We have a committee who does those things and is working on that. So as soon as those are available, so that we can make all of that easy for all of you, we will certainly be doing that in this market. And at some point, it will all just become seamless again, but it's going to take a little bit of time for that, for Concur to catch up and booking tools to catch up. But we're ready for that, and we're testing all of that now. So we will be moving to that stage as quickly as we can. And there will be a little bit of talk about some of those things later in kind of the new norm panel. Anything you want to add from your regions about NDC and catching up? I think it's a lot the same around the globe. The technology just really needs to catch up from all of those providers.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly from me, Lisa's hit the nail on the head. It's still problematic, but we are seeing, technology driving the kind of NDC revolution. Again, Lisa made a really valid point about, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, it might just be seamless and everything's integrated, and it's just another area that we can pull fares from. But it's definitely not there yet, but we will get there. The travel market always evolves, and technology is always at the forefront of that evolution.
I'll just add, in Dubai, where it's the head office for Emirates and the hub, Emirates has just rolled out NDC about 4 months ago. They're still not ready. You can't reissue, and most TMCs, global TMCs present, are not switching into the NDC. But yes, they do compare fares, and so it's a long way, according to me, yeah.
Any more questions? They're going to pounce on D. Hang on.
Do you have a generalized recommendation for handling low-cost carriers in your respective regions? I know here in the US, I have them turned off from the OBT because I don't want my travelers utilizing them. However, especially in your respective regions, we need them. You have to have them. But we're struggling with, obviously, with content, making sure that the bookings go through properly and are confirmed. So I'm just curious if you all have like I said, a generalized recommendation on how best to handle those.
Could you guys understand that? She's looking in your area for low-cost carriers, and we know in some of your areas they're very important. You have to have them. As Dee mentioned, some of our customers turn those off. They don't want their travelers flying those because they're so restrictive in the US. They only go 2 days a week. There's a lot of things that hold them back. So she was asking for any advice for implementing a low-cost carrier in your market.
In Germany, the Eurowings is very important as a low-cost carrier. So, and we can offer a wide range of all what they offer. But we do also struggle, for example, with Ryanair. They don't allow booking through third parties. So this is kind of a challenge. So I think it's different in every market, but with the main focus with the Eurowings, we have a very good solution in Germany. So this works very, very well.
And we hear that about Ryanair, that they're a struggle to book and manage for your travelers. And is that true? in all your markets?
Yes, it's the same for Spain. I think all the EMEA, because they don't want to sell through the travel agencies, third parties. They want to sell directly, and they like to complicate travelers' life with with those things. So it's kind of challenge. But sometimes we don't have any other solution, because when you want to go from one side of Spain or Portugal to another, there's no direct flights. So you need to use them, yes or yes. There's not another option. We try to avoid them sometimes, but sometimes it's not possible.
We do too, and sometimes it's just not possible. You got to go on one.
Yeah, what we do is, I mean, the airlines who matter to us, the low-cost carriers, we have in direct API connectivity. We also have an online system, which we call Airline Web Services, AWS, which is also used as a B2B tool. A lot of sub-agents use our services because we connect them on our tool, and then that also is sold. So it's very easy to sell. So we don't switch screens. It's also hooked to our Amadeus as well. So you can issue GDS tickets, non-GDS tickets through this particular tool that we have. So it's making it easy for us to sell those airlines, and corporates you can't do without selling low cost, because in terms of airlines between Saudi Arabia and UAE, India and UAE are big numbers, and you have to service them. So there's no way you can escape selling a low cost carrier. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. In EMEA, low-cost carriers are particularly prevalent. They service many routes, and we very rarely see any travel program fully turn low-cost carriers off. It's just not something that we see very often. Andrea and Nacho are also correct. Some of them, Ryanair in particular, really seem to be fighting against the industry rather than working with us, and that brings its own complications. But yeah, certainly you need to have those low-cost carriers involved. So through the UK, we do that through an aggregator. We have the content provided, and it actually comes up through our local tool as well. So the low-cost carriers are there, are available, and you book them very much like any sort of scheduled carrier through the local Clarity booking tool.
I think that's really interesting, because we have other options other than low-cost carriers in many markets. And it's a big part of your business over there, so you have to respond and you have to be able to provide that content. So that's great to hear. Anyone else for our panel? Quiet group. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I want to thank Andrea, Nacho, Jairam, and Graham for their time and for being part of our panel, and thank you guys very much.
Thank you.